Hi, this is a special program organized by the Central Committee for the Palotaka Centenary Celebration. This program literally focuses on stories from our elders, former residents of Palotaka, and people who have been part of the Palotaka's journey. My name is Winnie Cirino, and today we are honored to have one of our community leaders, and that is none other than Dr. Martin Langoya. Dr. Martin, you're highly welcome to this program.
Thank you, Winnie.
Great. So, tell us, when were you in Palotaka? What were you doing in Palotaka? Which year were you there?
Palotaka started going to Palotaka since I was around 6, 7. We used to go to the church there, and that was from the time I started Bush School in Oyere Bush School. Then as a resident of Palotaka, I went to Palotaka in 1969 and joined class 2, because those years we had several Bush schools. Oyere Bush School being the first Bush school that was established when the missionaries were still in, when the mission was still in Lerwa. I think it was established around 1927 or something, and followed by Agoro, then Molongo, and the others joined later. So we used to have, during that time, all the Bush schools were up to class 2. There was only Magui that was up to class 3. So all the Bush schools used to be brought to Palotaka at the end of the year to sit for Palotaka joining to pick the best 2 from each school to come to Palotaka for to join class 2.
So when you say you went there, where were you? It means you weren't born in Palotaka, right?
I was born in Obo, Oyere, a place called Modo. That's where I was born. 1951. Grew up there up to the First World War. I mean the First Anyanya War. Got when I was about 4 years, and we were taken from bush to bush and running from in the bush and brought up during that period of war. And after the war, 1956, there was independence of South Sudan. I was still not in school. And 1957, the school teacher, the bush school teacher, that was Opego, he was known as Justin Olia. We came around and found me playing at home. I told my father, why is this boy not in school? Said, no, he's still young. Said, no, let him go and play in school. So 1957, I was dashed to school. The following morning, we had to work. I was excited about going to school because the bigger boys were all going. That's how I got to school. And we started off, we were then playing under the trees, drawing on the ground. And
of course, there were no books by then.
There were books for the class 1. We were in the preparatory. So in 1958, an inspector of the school, Bush schools came around to sort out who can join class 1. So we were tested in what? Some of the bigger boys, they just look at them, these are big. And when we are already above what they were asked, they were disqualified. So some of us were asked
to join marijuana.
Not straight away, but you would be tested. So
what were some of those tests that they were?
The tests, they were just giving you, give you an alphabet or a number, and if you mention it correctly, then you qualified if you are young and what. So I was given an I, which was E, naturally. And I said E. So sit down. That's how
Interesting.
So that year, we finished the whole year in class 1. So coming to class 2, I think they sorted some of the best was sent to Palotaka to go and sit the Palotaka entrance exam. And, if you pass well, so I succeeded. And that was 1959. I was still playing at home.
Yeah.
We were just preparing to go to our bush school. The same teacher again, Justin, came to the said, "What are this boy doing? What is this boy doing here? He's supposed to join Palotaka." So, we didn't know. My father, he's an ex-soldier, and he works also in wildlife and other things. So we were packed up that very night. One boy was going to class 2. He was also my cousin. We were just in the same village. So we packed up. Our things were just tied up in blankets.
So it was a boarding school?
Palotaka was a boarding school. Okay. We joined when we were about 7 or 8.
Wow.
So we were rushed. We walked. It was already evening. We walked throughout. I lost everything on the way. They would keep dropping. I arrived Palotaka with one pair of shoes, with one shoes.
Were you too tired to carry those things?
Tired, but the excitement carried us on, and it was cool, and it was evening. So we arrived there in the morning. We forgot about what took us there. So we were just, somebody came, "Have you checked your name on the board?" Say, "Where is the board?" It was in front of the headmaster's place.
Yeah.
We went, say, "Yes, your names are here." But then my cousin's name was not there. Say, "What happened?" No, we were asked to go and register with the headmaster. The headmaster, that was Joseph Hakim, who was the headmaster. I told him, "Oh yeah, your name is here. Did you find a dormitory?" And we slept following, and that's how I got into Palotaka. So 1959 is when I was now a resident. 59 is when I joined Palotaka Elementary 2. And those days we are young. You get all these ulcers on the food. I was sent home because there were some big ulcers that a lot of boys were suffering from wounds on the legs and other things. Poor hygiene and other things. With lack of care, we cannot take care of ourselves.
Because you are young.
Yeah. But all the same, I went home. My mother took care of that wound. I came back. And the school was afraid I was not going to make it. I made it to class 2, number 4.
Wow.
So when class 3 again went without mass again, class 4 we were to sit for exam. That was already 1961. Was sitting now elementary leaving exams, which was competing to go to intermediate school with several other elementary schools all over the Eastern Equatoria and some from the West Central Equatoria also. Okay. So many of us we said 1961 I passed all the other subjects well. Arabic was then introduced that time. And I was not successful in Arabic. I passed all the English very well, mathematics excellent, Arabic only 30. They saw our ages and they said, "No, you are young. Those who are young can repeat." So we were allowed to repeat. Those days we are not allowed. Repetition is not an option because there are many people
who want to join, so you'll be occupying their spaces.
But because of our age and other things, there were a few of us who were allowed to repeat. We repeated. And 1962, again we sat for intermediate leaving. This time I went through.
You passed that Arabic
subject? I passed the Arabic subject together with the others. So I was taken to Palotaka Intermediate School, which was already transferred to Torit. And it was there then I got first time going to town.
And you are very excited.
Excited and a lot of work. There was a lot of challenges, of course. There were bullying and other things. You have to carry water. But good enough, we had grown up boys from my school, all the actually boys, even those who came from Magui. Magui had already started the class 4 also, elementary 4, transferred from Opare to it. And so we had a good sizable actually community also that were the bigger boys that were protecting us against bullying.
What were some of those bullyings that you people were experiencing?
Oh,
carry water. Someone tells you to carry,
carry water. Or sometimes they brought in front of people, say, tell a story about your mother.
Oh my!
Tell a story about your village and all this kind of thing. Or dance the traditional dance. And some just you are hit on the head without any reason.
Oh dear!
And anyway, it was. But good enough for these other boys who were...
You are protected because they were...
You are protected, but still, you don't go scot-free.
You never survive it all.
You never survive it all. So, but let's go back to Palotaka.
Yes.
So that was the time I stayed in Palotaka from 1959 to 1962.
Yes.
And 1962 I left to go to work. So my experience during this period in Palotaka was, it was then, I came in 1959, 1960,
62.
We were in 1960, I was baptized, just next to the current church.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we were also, the bishop also came around the same, that same year, we were confirmed. Sister Mazolde was the bishop then. Yeah. Palotaka, there was a lot of interesting things. You may get to meet boys from other villages, from other part of Achole, because all of us, that was a mixture. It is something that brought us. Today we know ourselves very well
because of Palotaka.
People like your father, they were brought from Yambio, joined Palotaka when we were already in senior class. I think I was in class 3 or so. He was brought together with his younger brother 𝐏𝐚𝐥𝐸. But many other children, boys from Panikwara, boys from Magui, boys from Omeo, Agoro, Pajok, Lobone, and Paluar. There were not many people from across the world, but there were people whose parents were working like in the coffee mill. The children also came to and later those who were working in Kalishuni and other things, the straw mill was there, they were brought to us.
Interesting. Yeah. So when we talk of the Palotaka mission, what do you remember about the Palotaka mission itself?
The Palotaka was a complex place.
What makes it complex?
It is complex in that there were a lot of institutions that were going on in Palotaka. In fact, when the mission, Palotaka mission at that time was a center of academy, of education. When we joined Palotaka, we had the elementary school, the boys' elementary school, which I joined. Then we had also the girls' elementary school that was separate. You see where we had the centenary launching.
Yes.
Where they put the new shoes. Behind, north of there, was the girls' school. The whole of that was the girls' school.
And you studied separately? Or
we studied separately. That time you don't meet. We are not even allowed to get closer to them. We only meet in the church.
On Sundays only.
But some of us who are young, we would just sneak around, go even steal mangoes from their compound.
Very interesting.
When the sisters get you there, what they beat you? We ran away. We ran away.
Yes.
Yeah. Palotaka had so those institutions. Then we had the catechumens for boys and for girls also. For boys was behind the elementary school. For girls was behind the girls' elementary school. Then the time I joined, that was the time they brought in the intermediate school also to occupy what used to be the Vernacular Teachers Training Institute College. That was started in Palotaka before I got there.
Okay.
But some of the teachers were still there. What happened was then the Norman School was also built around 1930 something or 1940 something when a lot of the missionaries during Second World War were confined, brought and interned in Palotaka. There were like 33 different missions. They fill up the place, and instead of doing nothing, they indulged themselves into construction. They built the Norman School, the classrooms, the chapels, the teachers' quarters, the dormitories, and everything. The Institute for the Vernacular Teachers Training was already there with its classes, with everything. So in 1969, the Norman School started in Torit, and later brought to Okaru. From Okaru, it was brought to Palotaka. But then, when they closed it, they brought now the intermediate that was in Okaru again to Palotaka. And because it was a big school, it occupied both the whole vernacular teachers training compound and the normal school. It was exciting to see what life is. You see all these bigger boys from different tribes.
All mixing up together.
We had Madi boys, they had Bari boys, they had Lutukas, all were there. The first headmaster was the late Oduho, Joseph Oduho, when in 1969, before they ran, before they escaped to Uganda. But we could see also their political activities. So we were exposed to these South Sudan political activities and crises at a very early stage. So like the closure of the schools in 1962, we are already in class 2. In fourth year elementary. We were involved in those strikes. The school was closed. We all came home. Then the intermediate was then already in Tori. And because of all these political activities, they were transferred to Tori. Life in Palotaka was interesting. Of course, we had the girls' school. We were not allowed to work, but in church, you would be making people dress up themselves to impress the girls and the bigger boys. And
I can imagine the hairstyle. That was a very common trend.
Yeah, but some of us were young. and you are forced to comb your hair. Another thing, we have also lice with the eggs all over your head. This was our biggest problem. And some of the negative things, that's what we had, these big jiggers was brought by some boys who came from the mountains and introduced in the dormitories. The juniors, the class 1 and class 2 dormitories were only made with bricks and not plastered with cement. It was okay. It became a very fertile ground for the jiggers. For the jiggers. The jiggers were all over this place. We used to go out, we carry our own firewood for our cooking, but we had cooks. We used to take care of our compound and sweeping the street. The school was with small lane pathways and beautiful lawns with flower beds and other things. So each one of us would be given a portion that you take it to your responsibility. You clean it, you what. Then the slice went in the grass, the bigger boys were brought to slice and other things. And if you didn't want, the prefect was there to inspect everything. And nothing like that, you would be lashed or you would be given more punishment, go carry more firewood. The timetable was strict. We wake up in the morning. We had running water, at least one tap that we can go collect water from, and we bring water to. You bring your water, you only wash your legs and your face.
Because it was too cold?
It was too cold. So it was too cold. And not only that, we didn't have that many buckets. The bathing, we do it in the evening.
When you have enough time,
enough time, yeah.
Interesting.
So you wake up in the morning, you go for mass in the morning, those who want to go to mass, and then at around 8:30 you go to class. 8.
What time was mass? 6 a.m.
From 6 something, 6:30.
And it was compulsory.
By our time, it was not compulsory because the school was already taken over by the government.
Oh, okay.
It was not in the hands of the missionaries.
Interesting.
But still, as Catholic, we used to go out and pray every morning. I was very interested in joining seminary. I even registered actually to go to seminary.
Did you join?
I didn't join because I disagreed with the parish priest, who was a very big Italian guy.
Yeah.
When we were baptized and I missed morning mass, he became very angry. And when I went to apologize, he hit me on the face with a sandpaper. I think that one didn't go well with me.
He really offended you?
Yes, I got angry. I left. From that time, I didn't even want to call anything to do with that.
That is sad. We literally missed out a priest. We would have been having you as a priest at the altar.
No, it was enough. And in the very rudimentary point, he was very interested in me. He trusted me very much, and I think I disappointed him by not coming to mass in the morning. But he was a very rough guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so with all these, having studied in Palotaka, with all the institutions that were there, you participated in the church activities and all this. How did Palotaka shape your life to who you are right today?
Palotaka made us what we are now. I told you about those disciplines that you have.
Yes.
Taking care of your own properties. At a very young age, I told you I went around when I was about 8.
Very young.
And you have to wash your clothes. You have to make your beds. You have to participate in all school activities. When we used to also do our school agriculture, we grow beans, we grow groundnuts, sweet potatoes, which complements our kitchen. But there was plenty of food that was brought also by the government. That time, during Abut's time, actually, the school were well fed. They brought in, we were introduced a thing called full masir. We never knew them. We only knew our lapena and janjaro. And
those are common dishes.
Common dishes. And we brought some dry meat, the dry fish. I think they bring them from the Red Sea or something. Salty, very salty. And some lubia, beans that were brought. And those were the things we bought. And a lot of groundnuts that were brought also from the north. Plus the groundnuts that we bought. And those groundnuts, when you are asked, you go and pluck them or taken to shell them. You are not allowed to eat them. And at the end of doing it, you will be given water to flush it, to rinse your mouth.
To confirm whether you ate some or not.
And actually, very often, many of us were caught because the whole stuff came out. You were given some lashing there, but it was better. You had already eaten. But what we used to do also, the prefect who are in charge of this would be giving you some 1 minute. Instead of just shelling, you are allowed, they call it test. That is the time you shell and you just throw it in your mouth. And that is when legally you are allowed to eat, but not under the ground. And you keep the dog, the small tiny one.
That is for yourself. And for later
you
on.
keep it for later on, not
at that moment.
Yeah. And the beans, you have to befriend the storekeeper. We had a boy who was called 𝐏𝐚𝐥𝐸𝐏 was, I forgot his Christian name. He was from Magui. He was in charge of the stores. You have to befriend him so that he can bring some of those beans he would. and you hand it in the evening. You have you begin cracking it in the road, and when people hear you say, "Give us some." It was interesting growing up in Palotaka.
But at least it disciplined you people.
Disciplined us. We had many friends from different places, and we got to know. You work as a team. You work as a what? Some of the things that we see now, I mean, in our youth not agreeing with, we didn't have them very much. There was only one occasion that was unpleasant. I don't know what brought in that one. The boys divided themselves into East Acholi and West Acholi and brought a lot of tension in the school.
That is sad.
Ended up with some fighting until one of the boys had his leg broken. And the boy from Agora was dismissed because of that. It was a devil's work, but it didn't continue long. Yeah.
At least it came to an end. Now, what is one thing that you remember that is unforgettable to you about Palotaka, that until today you really remember it?
I think the most interesting thing about Palotaka was that getting to know people from other part of Acholi and making friends from other part of Acholi. And until we grew up knowing ourselves as friends, even when we parted ways, we still would meet and call ourselves with our nicknames and all those interesting ones. But most importantly, the knowledge we got was the teachers were harsh, but it brought discipline into us. And it brought us what we are today. Because when I remember from my class alone, I think that the year we went to intermediate from Palotaka, I think we went like 5 or so of us. There were people who were going to the intermediate time, and there were those who were going to technical school. The technical school was in Torit also. We had a number who went to technical school, a number who went to... But we continued. When we were in intermediate, we always would have our get together. And when we go visiting relatives in the Malakia, we move as a team. And when we go to church, we move also as a team. It was interesting. But of course, in intermediate, you have boys from different other world. And all of us until today, we still know ourselves very closely. When we have successful people among our group. So from intermediate, there were many people like the former governor of Eastern Equatorial, Aloysius Ojeto, was my classmate.
Interesting.
And we remain up to today, we know ourselves as colleagues. We had a number who became professors, like Professor Kenneth Okeny, who has remained in the state, James Orijo, John Madison was in the Juba University. Most of us very successful. In intermediate, people like John Bukelo joined us from Magui, and we became the first Acholi pilot.
Yes.
I became the first Acholi medical doctor.
Interesting.
And we had our good days.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And that shows really...
And those are from the dedication you had from
Palotaka.
And you cannot forget Palotaka because of it was the foundation of our academic work.
So would we say Palotaka influenced South Sudan in a way?
A great deal. A great deal. Palotaka was then one of the few intermediate schools that used to send, of few elementary schools that used to send students to the various intermediate schools, mainly Palotaka Intermediate, Torre Technical, Juba Intermediate, and what? But mostly those intermediate there were few intermediate schools. The Palotaka Intermediate School, and then the technical school, and you have all to compete for that. And the good education that we found from the word go in elementary made us succeed to go that far. And we learn a lot in terms of not only academic, but also how to be able to socialize with people who are not from your village. We also learn the church had a great influence on us. And the church at that time had a lot of programs also for youth. And so the holidays of some of the big holidays of the church would be a very exciting time when we get people coming all the way from different parts of Acholi converging to Palotaka to like a pilgrimage and what. Things like Chengting, which is Assumption Day. Christmas, not very much, but things like Assumption Day, Easter, and what people converge from different parts of the chapels to Palotaka. And they come singing all the way. One very interesting thing is also with the catechumens. When they when they are baptized, it is such a joy, and they dance the whole night and jumping with their rosaries and cross and singing and referring to the catechumens. So those who are not baptized have to make sure they have to go and get baptized. And those who didn't succeed, you have to work hard to get yourself baptized and on. And that was what Palotaka is. And then, of course, you had the activities of the Palotaka is not only the education, but we also had like the farm activities that the missionaries had. We had a parish farm. The place where you are now holding your centenary used to be a parish farm mainly for growing groundnuts and other few vegetables. Mainly groundnuts. Every year they used to grow it there. Behind the parish, the rectory, they used to have the parish farms. They grow sugarcane, maize, sorghum, and millet, beans, potatoes, and all those places. The catechumens had to work, do a lot of farm work, and at the same time do what. Then they had the diocesan farm, which when you, I don't know whether you have been to Palotaka, when you pass on the way to the river, and after you leave the intermediate school, what used to be normal school, then you have the diocesan farm. About 600 acres of farmland. Every year it was put into different crops.
That is food that would have fed the whole of Palotaka.
It wasn't food, those food was mainly feeding the whole missionary schools in the Bahar Jebel. It was taken to the seminarians up to Busara, seminary, Bukaru, and all other missionaries were. Then the whole Palotaka streets were lined with fruit trees, mangoes, and oranges, Easter, and there were orchards behind the parishes, lemon. During December, January, and what, there were a lot of oranges and what. Of course, we were also very notorious. We had a big headache. We escaped from the elementary, come to the steal some mangoes,
and go back.
You go back, but the parish priest, this brutal guy, Father Vitalini,
would come after you.
Come after us, chases us From we ran down. When you're going to Palotaka, you have that street.
Yes,
they call it the street of Obil. Obil was, I think, for the what his official name was. It was not Molinari or something like that. Who ran down that street. They ran down and he runs after you.
Until he catches you.
He didn't succeed very much. We dashed into the bush.
People
And because he was heavy, by the time he stops there, you are already deep in the bush, you disappeared in the bush. That's
very interesting.
But he would wait for you, see how, because there were not many routes.
Yes.
There was that route that takes you up to Ogong.
Yes.
Then from Ogong, but then we walk from Ogong up to Alia. We don't come back through that route directly from Alia because he would be sitting waiting for us there. But then we go through Atumu. Atumu is a small river behind there, where actually a lot of the construction, the bricks and tiles, roofing tiles that were used for building Palotaka was done. Both in Ogong and there's a brooks there which joins the beginning of Ayi and then the rest of it. So we would walk from there. He would be waiting here, doesn't see us.
It looks like you people were really very, very stubborn. But one thing I don't want to forget was, what was your nickname?
We had many nicknames. We had many nicknames.
Which one was so common about you?
If you go to the village today, or even Samamanga, your father would call me Okako.
Okako.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. I mean, one would wonder how Okako came about.
Okako came about when I was growing up in the village. I was a small boy, and then in the village, most of the boys were bigger boys, and only the girls were my friends. So I used to play mainly with girls. When they go for firewood, I go with them for firewood. When they go to the river, I used to go with them.
Follow them.
I carry my sauce, my pot. They will bring also some water to my mother. When bring some firewood with them. So there was this guy in Palwa, in Palwar or in Lerwa, who was called Okako, who I think that time was a transsexual or something like that. He lived a woman's life. He takes care, he does what women do. He smears the house, he carries his firewood, he lived like a woman. So I was referred.
Literally, you were doing almost the same
thing with him, and that's how they gave me that name.
Very interesting.
But my other nicknames that they know me, if you go to Ukwir right now,
yes,
he refers to me as Mokak. That's coming from Okako.
It's actually more modernized.
Or they call me Lagom.
Lagom.
That was my biggest other nickname, Lagom. There's all of us had nicknames.
Several nicknames.
Several nicknames.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, in your whole conversation, yes, you mentioned where we last time launched our centenary. That was part of the farm and so forth. Now we are preparing for the centenary celebration. What does this centenary celebration mean to you, as someone who has been in Palotaka, who grew up there, who studied there? What does it mean to you?
It means a lot. You know, Palotaka, to some of us who grew up there, has very deep impression on us. And the destruction that has taken place in Palotaka remains a wound unto ourselves. But the whole concept that we have 100 years of Christianity or faith that has originated from Palotaka, started in Lerwa and came down. It means a lot to us. When we were young, we went up to Lerwa. We saw the first mission there. To get to Lerwa, you have to travel through that thick forest before you get to where you have natural coffee growing in the forest. But the missionaries there also did a lot of gardening, orchards. They grew up to apples, up to grapes were grown in Lerwa. They had a fish pond where they had salmon up in that place. The missionaries were really very progressive people. Wherever whatever they did it from all the local materials there.
Interesting.
And that was not only a thing, but it also built up people among the community who were trained as masonry, in bricklaying, carpentry. All were from the local people. Initially, they brought some from outside Palotaka, but eventually most of them were people who grew up. Most of them, few of them died only recently. Who could tell you more about Palotaka? I think one of the oldest to pass on, Remigio. Pass on, I think 2 or 3 years ago. These were the people who work in those constructions. They knew everything, and they would tell you the history of Palotaka from the word go. We were young, but then we knew that some of these stories from people who were. My mother had some of the group that went to 𝐏𝐚𝐥𝐸𝐴𝐚 to Lerwa, but she didn't complete because her mother was sickly, so she was asked to come and she was the only girl. She's called Aya. She was the only girl. She had to leave it and come back to work. She only got baptized when we went in exile to Uganda. But she knew all the categories. I mean, all those
the teachings.
The teaching. Yeah, she used to sing for us those catechism. We learned it from her.
Interesting.
She had such a memory. She didn't forget. And what? When I came to, we were already introduced in the house, in the fireplace by others.
Right. Well, we've had a lot. I would say we've had a lot from our elder, Dr. Martin, and I would love to ask you to please look at the camera and share with us your message to our viewers outside there in regards to the Palotaka Centenary Celebration.
I think as we get to Palotaka Centenary Celebration, the saddest thing that I have is that the church is the only church that has remained in ruins as a result of the war. I came to Palotaka in 1996 when the SPLA just pushed away Jalaba from Palotaka and the LRA, and I saw firsthand the ruins that has taken place. It was devastating to me. And going to my former dormitories, my former class, and seeing the destruction that has taken place, all these places remain in rubbles. And it was sad. I couldn't hold back my tears. These were places that we grew up with. It is like
that
part of
molded you literally.
Molded us. To see it in ruins, up to today, it brings me.
Makes you emotional.
That's an emotion. And I would have loved to see this church reestablished, at least the church. The schools can come later. A church where you were baptized, a church where you had your first communion, a church where you had your confirmation. It means everything to you in terms of faith. And if there is anything that we could need to aspire for, is for us to look forward to see that at least Palotaka Church and the mission is reestablished. If Palotaka suffered a great destruction because several army groups were stationed in Palotaka. The SPLA were there with the Red Army and other things, and so much. At least they benefited from the war. But after they moved away, Jalaba came,
destroyed everything.
They destroyed And the LRA was, of course, their common. They were living in the girls' dormitory. Instead of living in the dormitories, they were breaking down the buildings to make tokols for themselves. Those are the beginning of the destruction. Jalabas broke down, used the church to store their big ammunitions and other things. And some of the father's house broke down some of the buildings to build a mosque just next to the
church.
So when the SPLA came in 1995 and pushed them out of there, the fighting that took place didn't do much damage, but at least some of the shelling fell on some of the buildings. And if you go today, even the church have those big roots, but those are from different groups. You cannot put it to them. Then the thing that did most of the destruction was now the anti-NOP aerial bombings, and they knew that they had stored ammunitions in different places wherever they had them. They kept on going around bombing these places, like our classrooms that I'm talking about, that were totally destroyed. The bomb just fell on it. The explosion that followed brought the whole place into rubble, including the nearby schools and other things. The same thing with the classroom. One side, a bomb fell on it. There were munitions and other things that were there, blasted off everything, part of the The same thing if you go to Palotaka, you see the priest houses, it's done in the same way. When you look at the sisters' houses, nothing is left standing. The intermediate school, what used to be the normal school, another thing, there was a big school, the classroom written on it, Sacred Heart, and the chapel, all those are now in ruins, nothing much of it. And of course, some of the communities who live there also started breaking now, taking bricks from there, and what a lot of damage. This damage, people need to look forward. What can we as a community do to really prove our faith that we are talking about our 100 years of faith, but we need to show cause for it. We need to, at least we should start doing something to rehabilitate some of these things. Otherwise, these 100 years that has been brought to zero, our celebration is meaningless if we cannot think of reestablishing some of it. At least may not coming up to that, but something must be done. Palotaka by now should have been one. The farm can still go, be rehabilitated very easily. The bishop was asking yesterday, the real area of Palotaka and other things. These are known. In their archives, they should be there. But because there were also pegs that indicates the landmark of Palotaka. As you come, you cross that Agoreri Brooks. Next to it, without going to what, there is a peg. It used to be a peg there. And it is from that point, all the eastern part of Agore, up to River E, that is part of Palotaka. Then from there, you go all the way up to Alea on that road going to Pajok. And on top of Alea, the way going to Kalishoni, there is another peg there. That used to be another landmark for the boundary of Palotaka. And from there, it follows at Tumu all the way up to Ayi River, up to the mountains on that side. So all those are areas of the church which should be evacuated and left for the church. After Anyanya, there were people who tried to encroach, but I think Bishop Parade, the late Bishop Parade, when he was the parish priest there, managed to kick people out of the mission. That's why the people who left there left in anger and what, and they came and established a village called Chamoni. And this is not easy. The missionaries had their sources of government, but they are no longer here. But what they left, we should be able to try and replicate. Yes. Because presently we have people who have the means, who are either in diaspora or within,
even here in South Sudan.
even within South Sudan.
Yes.
Yeah, we should be able to do something.
True.
That church, I know, takes a lot of challenge, but with proper engineering and other things, it could be rehabilitated.
Sure.
Yeah, Palotaka remains as a beacon of hope for the Achrolis and for South Sudan
at large.
And I'm sure if you ask the Red Army group, most of them came to get introduced to education in Palotaka, and they never forget Palotaka. And I think they will continue to remember it.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Martin, for sharing with us your story, your experience in Palotaka, and of course the recommendation. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Winnie.
Great. Great. All right, so our online viewers, that was Dr. Martin Langoya, aka Okako, sharing with us his stories or experiences, his lifetime experiences in Palotaka. We really appreciate you all for watching. Please continue to follow this page and share these videos. We look forward to seeing you in Palotaka for the Centenary Celebration that will take place on the 11th of January 2026. Stay blessed.